two and these are growing off the left and the right of the tree. This guy here and this guy here are growing off the top of the branch, right? Now you might say, well, if I want to wire this out and I'm going to make a branch pad, we need the mass in the top, so we should keep this branch on the top. But really in the future, you can bring these pads, you can build the depth of the pad by these ones here. If you build the depth of your pad off of a branch that's growing off of the top, this will outgrow everything else around it because it's growing off of the top, and these things are phototropic, so they want to grow towards the light. So at this point in time, right, these branches, these little branchlets that are growing off of the top, we can cut those out and replace them with our left and right growing branches that are around them, these branches here. So again, at this point in this tree's life, we want to be trying to build structure, not necessarily pad thickness. Pad thickness will come later. So now we're trying to work on that structure. And these vertically growing pieces are structurally not going to give us the nicest result in the future as our left and right horizontally growing choices will give us in the future, right? So same thing here on this branch. We've got this piece that's growing off the bottom.
So when you're done,
we can say, okay, like here again as another example, we've got 6 branches all coming out of it. It's like a whorl. Pine trees grow in this whorl pattern. So here we would be describing which ones we want, which ones we don't want.
Okay.
And then surely we can start with the one on the bottom is, right, because what were those 3 aspects we're trying to think about when we're making this? Energy balance and?
1, 2, well, okay, top and bottom or left and right?
Top and bottom, left and right, and then what's the last one?
And angle.
And the remaining interior angle. Yes. So, just so happens, energy balance wise, typically the stuff that's growing on the bottom is going to be very weak. So we can cut those off. But here's another, okay, so I'll cut that off. And now we've got something like this. Do we need the length or do we not need the length? We've got this underneath it, so we probably don't need super length. So let's see if we cut off this middle one, then it will reduce the length on the branch. And of the remaining 3, these 2, left and right, are similar balanced energy. The one on the top is small, so we can cut that off. And now the remaining 2 branches that we have are the shorter of the potential ones we had that are also both enough energy.
You have a back bud there too.
Yes, and
shorten that more later on.
yes, right. And these white pines, if you give them energy, like you can see this is a little bud that's not, this bud started later than these buds here, right? So if you give enough fertilizer and grow the thing and it's healthy, you'll get back budding on these 3 or 4 year old branches. So you can assume that at some point in the future you'll have buds to choose from back here. But when we start to approach just this initial cleaning out and making these decisions 1 into 2s, this is the result that we're looking for at this stage in this trees.
so I assume you're going to wire that branch so that the interior angle is less than 90, maybe.
Yeah, okay, so if we're like close enough, a little bit. I mean, it's less than 90, but if you get a T and then you try to wire it, it turns into like this weird U thing, and that's just not, I mean, if you had to choose of those 3, which one is the first one you sacrifice? What's priority? What's the one that you can sacrifice of those 3 decisions, those 3 elements? Interior remaining angle, remaining strength balance, and left and right up bat-like position. It's that angle that you're going to sacrifice first. Most importantly would be the energy balance. Second would be the position, are they left, right, or top and bottom. You can change that. And that like angle, well, that's just an ideal would be less than 90, but so that's the one you're going to sacrifice first. remaining angle. Situation on the bottom branch. Again, we've got a junction with 1, 2, 3, 4 branches. We know we don't need the little one on the top. And
That one's-
that one's
yeah,
dead.
that-
Okay, so that works out really well. So then on this point, I will take my wire. So the wire that I'm wiring on is for this part of the branch and for this part of the branch, right? That's what I'm trying to bend with this wire. But I'm going to take this wire back out past the next junction of branches, at least one twist. So this would be like, it's going through this junction on the bottom. So then I need to get it, one twist would be to have it be on the bottom of this, past that branch junction, one twist. So we could bring it to there, and then the next piece of wire we add, it will be to wire these two branches together, right? For this, I'll go ahead and just, I don't know exactly what we're doing, so I'll leave that, I'll wire that out, that length. So one of the reasons why you remove your old needles, like what I suggested to do on that one, is so that you have space for your wire to sit as you're wiring the tree. So let's just take that up to there. And we'll move this one up to the top here. And let's see if one wire is going to hold this. It might not. A little bit. A little bit. Okay, so we're talking about like this position here, right?
Right.
It stops, right? This big branch stops, and then it has these three little ones that come off. So one of the questions you could be asking yourself, especially in this one spot right here, which one of these three do we not need? Right.
Yeah, of course, this branch here, this one creates a lot
Yeah,
right here, so
yeah.
if you took that out, it'd be kind of.
So surely, is this the front? Or is this the
It's
front?
one of those trees where it has two fronts.
Two feet.
Well, if we look at it from the side of the pot, it's leaning now this way, right? The head is moving this way. So maybe that's like a good, let's just go with this being the front. That makes a lot of sense. And then if this is the front, then this branch that we're looking at here, the one of the three that you could cut off, this becomes a very, very important branch on the tree. So then if you're going to say, okay, well, what about this branch? Well, now this branch also becomes a very important branch on the tree, because this is what's really giving you any kind of length into the back and into the side here. This little guy here, I might argue you don't need this. Can I cut this off? Is that okay?
Have at it.
And then with these remaining, this is an important idea. If you cut off stuff off of, maybe you could do this with deciduous, but surely if you're cutting branches off of any of your conifers, leave some amount at the, still connected. The approach should be to always leave something, and then later on you can decide if you need to cut it flush for whatever reason. But to start with, leave yourself a little bit of a stub that you can turn into deadwood. It's nice to have the deadwood on the tree. It gives us a feeling of age with the deadwood. So we could turn that into a nice piece of deadwood there. And then, so I might argue that this center branch here might not be necessary. We have this one here, and we have this back branch here, or the other way around. Let's see here. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to some other spots and we can see what we got. The rest of these branches up in here, we don't have any of that same kind of fundamental 1 into 3 problem. So that's good. Arguably at the top, you might say, well, something a little weird is happening there. But if you're going to use this branch here, maybe you'll still want to keep this. Whereas we have 3, 1, 2, 3. Sort of coming off at the same spot, but sort of not. So maybe we can get away with it. I could cut back here because I have these growing tips. Or I could cut back here because I have these growing tips. And then even on this one tip, I could cut back to the base. Now I have these 2, and these will take over and these will grow back. So as you're wiring it and you're deciding on the length of the tree, you can cut back deep into this foliage mass as long as you have viable growing tips still there, right? So I could take this and I could cut this all the way back to this piece right here if I wanted to. If I wanted to shorten it, that's how you're going to approach shortening it, right? So with a tree that like this that has a lot of growth back inside on the branches, then you could, where you need to shorten, you have plenty of opportunity to shorten as you're wiring it. And when you're placing your wire, setting your wire on this stuff, then wiring out this primary branches, that's one step, without even touching this. Then as you're wiring out you could clean out the things that you necessarily won't use. But then as you're wiring out this bottom part, that's when the tips, that's when you would be making that decision. How long do I need to do this? Especially if you don't, it's better safe than sorry, right? So instead of going in and cutting and I think I need this, I think I need that, I don't need that, and cutting it all back and then trying to wire it out, do it together at the same time. And then you'll be able to cut it where you necessarily think you need it.